and I mean, you're a famous man in the region.
Everybody. Okay, we've got a special show for you today. I'm going to first introduce everyone. Chris, the collegiate, who is a champion boxer, kickboxer, author, and has his master in clinical nutrition and part of the WBC task force. Bob Guccione Jr. How do I describe you, Bob?
World champion.
Huh?
Just world champion in general.
World champion of trend setting?
No. I guess the editor and publisher of Wanderlust.
Okay, we'll start there.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Joel Berman, also known as Bermano, once a fight promoter who traveled from South Africa to New York and is now known for his art, which has been displayed in major galleries and venues. And Michael Whalen, who is a composer, a producer, creator. He's done over 650 TV movie scores, Emmy Award winner, and a really nice guy. And Michael is recovering from COVID. And
wow.
So he's an inspiration to us.
Yep.
And thank you especially, Michael, for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here, guys.
So before we begin,
anyway,
Suleiman, the president of the World Boxing Council. How can I forget Mauricio Suleiman?
You forgot about me, Jill.
I'm sorry. And I'm not going to forget. So she's going to start us off with some kind words and meditation before we begin our program. So, Socha.
Thank you, Jill. Hi to everybody. Hi, Mauricio. I wish this was a meditation. I wish I can do a real meditation. I just try to do every time before we begin a small reflection that give us some mental train so we can confront the confinement right now. And today I will start with a question. Confinement or an opportunity? Well, that depends on how you want to take advantage of this time. If you decide to have the feeling of confinement or the decision to take an opportunity to get to know yourself better. Self-knowledge is the first competence of emotional intelligence. Knowing ourselves is fundamental and is the base for developing any of the other emotional skills. Have you ever wondered who you are? What concept do you have of yourself? Well, I'm sure that what happens to you is the same that what happens to me. I think that nobody knows me better than myself. But guess what? The reality is that is not always the case because we rarely, very, very rare, we stop to think about who we really are. In that matter, self-knowledge is a result of a process of reflection, of a process of that we go through when the person acquires a notion of himself, his qualities, characteristics, strengths, weaknesses, talents, values, goals, dreams, and also fears. The process of self-knowledge is continuous since we are in constant change, okay? Because our life is changing every moment, okay? Every day we meet different people, our values change, our emotion, we experience different things, we go through different moments. So I'm sure that as a result of what we are going right now with this pandemic, okay, we are never going to be the same persons we were before this experience. Okay, so for all the what we say before, I will recommend to you, and I'm taking that recommendation also for myself. We must take this as an opportunity. Okay, I think it's good if we decide to see the glass full. Okay, instead of looking at this glass empty, and take this time as an opportunity to look inside ourselves. Self-knowledge is one of the main pillars of personal well-being, and to develop into a better person, better citizen, better parent, better painter, artist, boxer, leader, whatever. It's very, very important that we get to know ourselves and to take this time as an opportunity. Please have a great weekend to everybody, and I can't wait to listen to you all. It's going to be a wonderful panel. Thank you, Jill, Mauricio, and to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦. I'd like to first thank all of you for giving us your time, opening your home. Jill has put together this magnificent panel, and it's going to be very much fun. So I cannot wait. The WBC started the WBC Talks just to keep the boxing community alive, communicating, to keep busy. We have had great panels, and to close the week, this is the main event of the week. So let's have some fun, and I cannot wait to see and learn from all of you.
So,
You need more belts, Maurizio.
Yeah. Definitely more belts.
okay.
You are all getting a belt after this. For sure.
Excellent.
After. Okay, everyone. In addition to your freedoms, what do you miss the most? Food, art, music, and travel. Well, we can fantasize, we can play our music, we can dream, we could possibly learn a little bit today, but nothing beats your favorite restaurant, a trip to a museum, a live concert, and yes, visiting and exploring a new place. So each of these friends today have been a part of our CARES program in some manner. Now, here's a gentle reminder of what waits for us on the outside, and perhaps a way for us to bring some of it into your homes today. So today we have a care package of panelists coming into your home. So before we get started though, I want to know how each of you are and where you are. Michael, where are you?
I'm in my studio here in the South Bronx, and I feel like I know every inch of this room since I've been in here for 2 months. I did get a moderate case of COVID-19, so I was in bed for about 10 days. But but I'm here, and one of the things that I've really come to appreciate is that I had this room as kind of like a drop-off point. I didn't have it like a home base. And during this time, this room has totally transformed. Like this is now like my bat cave, and and this is like where I make things happen now.
And you are feeling better.
I am definitely feeling better. But I mean, the thing that's driving me crazy is when I hear all these people in the media comparing COVID to a flu. It's not the flu. Even when you have just a medium case of it, it's the sickest I've ever been ever.
Really?
And I didn't have any of it in my lungs at all. So it's the sickest I've ever been ever. Like, I felt miserable, and I can't even imagine what the people in hospitals are dealing with.
And you, Joel?
I am in Sunset Park in Brooklyn. I'm pretty happy here. Thank God I've got my art. I paint every day. When you wake up and you do a painting, you feel like you've accomplished something for the day. Like you can physically see a beginning and an end to a project. Yeah, I'm pretty cozy here. I miss going to coffee shops, unlike Mark, I still spend most of my time in my bedroom and in my studio. I haven't really got to even discover the rest of my place. But yeah, I'm good, Joel. Thank God, in good health. I'm doing some yoga and stretching every day, and that's pretty much it.
And we look forward to you showing us some of your art.
Good.
And Champion, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah, I've been focused on two things that I love while I'm here. I'm in my condo in South Florida. The weather is gorgeous. I got myself out of New York a few weeks ago as soon as things started to get hairy. But yeah, I've been doing the two things that I love most: exercising and cooking. So I've been able to keep my time pretty busy that way and to keep myself pretty happy and pretty sane. The number one thing that I miss is probably being able to actually physically touch my family. My family's in New York. My mother and my father are high risk. So it didn't really make sense for me to going in and out of gyms and coming home and seeing them. So I've been down here. But we live in a great world where we can do things like this. We can talk to people all over the world. So I literally just got off the phone with my mother right before this. So being able to speak to my family has been great, but I do miss hugging mom.
Of course. And Bob?
I'm in Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania. And it's a little bit like I'm cheating because I've got lots of space, nice big deck I can sit on. I'm kind of I won't say reclusive guy, but I kind of don't mind spending a lot of time alone. I just spend time alone. My girlfriend's in Boston, where we just recently moved, but I came down here to do some work and be alone. And then all of the crap hit and places started locking down. New York. I was on my way to New York for appointments the day before everything shut down. In fact, I was going to see our friend John Skipper, Joe, for dinner. And I called him up and said, I guess there's no dinner if there's no restaurants, you know. And so it all collapsed, as we know, very, very quickly, you know.
Very quickly.
I don't know if anybody saw The Good Place, the TV show The Good Place, but when the village decomposes, just dissolves, that's what our lives were like, you know, our ability to get around in our places. I miss most people, just hanging out with people. Even though I love being alone, as I said, I miss the fact that you really can't go and engage with people and hang out with them. And during this time, I realized the value of a restaurant, because I miss restaurants very much, is not the food, it's the escapism to a little microcosm of different culture. Yeah. You know, I miss my ethnic restaurants the most. I miss the Indian restaurant in Weymouth up near Braintree, outside Boston. It's just a great little place. You know, it's like there's different people. They speak differently. They're kinder than the average people we meet. And I miss other little pockets of this escapism, some of it to the extreme of a Lebanese restaurant on Madison Avenue I like called Biblos, down to the average little, you know, local hamburger joint. It's a little pocket of escapism, takes us out of our life. We don't have that right now. But I think we're going to get back to it all. I actually disagree with the people who say there'll never be normal again. I think normal is going to be about 3 months away. I think it's just human nature. We come back in like water allowed back into a basin. It just comes back and fills it up immediately. I think there'll be some behavioral changes forced upon us in public spaces like airports and airplanes. And I think that's appropriate for a while. But I think generally we're going to be back to the lives we knew 3 months ago. I think within 6 months we're back there.
I hope so. So Chris, given what's going on now, at first I want to know, what got you so involved in nutrition? Was it because of your work as an athlete? I mean, those of us who are lucky enough to have the means to eat proper meals now, what are your suggestions? Should we worry about weight at this point when we're being so sequestered? I mean, what should we do?
So in the first question, I got into nutrition because of myself being an athlete. I was a wrestler in high school, and that's a sport where you have to make weight. And I felt like I did everything wrong. So, and because I did, I was, you know, the way we made weight in high school wrestling was pretty dangerous.
Well,
and,
weight cutting, one of the most dangerous things in all combat sport.
Yeah, exactly. So I took it upon myself to learn the science behind it so I could do it properly and do it in a far less dangerous way. Because I knew that I was going to be a professional fighter, and I knew the dangers were much higher in boxing and kickboxing than they were in wrestling. So I wanted to make sure that I was going into each contest as healthy as possible. And then in terms of how nutrition plays a role now, this is all about keeping your immune system and your body healthy. So I wouldn't be as concerned right now about minor fluctuations on the scale. I would be concerned about nourishing your body, eating foods that have a high nutrient content, making sure you stay hydrated, make sure that your sleep hygiene, whatever it is where you need to eat a few hours before you go to sleep so you sleep well, make sure that you're hydrated throughout the night so you can sleep throughout the night. I think that's all very important for keeping your immune system high. So in case someone like Michael, who got, COVID, but had a somewhat medium or mild case, if he wasn't as healthy or robust as he is, he might have had a worse experience, which we're seeing that now. People who have any kind of comorbidities facing, having obesity, high blood sugar, prediabetes, hypertension, things like that, get much worse outcomes from the COVID. So right now, being focused on your health and the foods that you're putting in your body is most important.
What about supplements, Chris, like vitamin C, vitamin D?
There's been really good research so far, preliminary stuff, that vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc can be really helpful for your immune system, especially when it comes to this virus in particular, which ultimately is how we treat any kind of common cold or flu and whatnot. Those are all immune boosting supplements, and there's definitely a place for them, especially now.
And it's one thing to have gotten involved in nutrition, but you went to college and got your master's degree in clinical nutrition. I mean, what was that like while you were fighting and doing all that? That's real dedication.
Yeah, I was always a good student when I was coming up, and that was something that was stressed very highly in my house. Sports were not. I'm the first, last, and hopefully only pro boxer for my family, because it is such a tough route. But education, academia was really pushed on me as a kid growing up. So like I said, I had a science mind. I wanted to know how the body worked. I also planned on going to medical school. And I transitioned into full-time nutrition because I was exposed to kind of the medical industry or how it's done now. And I thought that I could help a lot more people if I was trying to prevent people from getting sick than trying to treat ones who already were, which is kind of the system that we live in now. So for me, nutrition was a way for me to reach more people and help more people.
Do we have a picture of Chris's book, guys?
I have it right here.
I'm in love with that book. Ah, you have it with you.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Look at you.
Picture of that book, the cover of that book said, I don't want to eat that. I don't even care if it's good for me. So presentation has a lot to do also with making foods interesting that are not foods that you would normally go out and grab.
Ooh.
I was going to say that to Joel. I was actually, the first and foremost, I was an artist. I used to draw a lot when I was a child. And people ask me about, you make your food look so good. This is my art now. I don't
tell you, Chris, is that a shakshuka? Or your version of it looks so delicious that pure art, Chris.
Thank you.
Oh, you're not getting that now. Relax.
I want that.
And one thing about my recipes, I tell people all the time, I'm not a chef. I like to cook. So everything that's in the book are very easy maneuvers. And I think this is a great time for people to maybe either learn how to cook or get better at it. I'm getting better at it every day, and it's something that I do every day of my life.
Chris in the kitchen, can you see the monitor? I don't know if
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice picture.
I've been producing some videos lately, kind of tutorials on how to cook certain items from the book that I've been posting on a couple different platforms on social media. Probably time for me to start a YouTube channel because a lot of people have been asking about it.
Can I ask you, 'cause I'm actually a vegan, and I've seen that a lot of professional athletes are becoming vegans because of the performance. And there'd be all these new documentaries on a plant-based diet. What do you think about that?
I don't love it for athletes from a reason of the pragmatic reason of being able to eat enough calories and enough protein when you're training 2 or 3 times a day. So for regular people, absolutely. I mean, anytime you're going to get more fruits and vegetables into your diet is a beautiful thing. In terms of longevity, limiting how much protein you take in later in life is actually a good thing for living longer. But I think for an athlete, for the needs of their protein needs for one, their energy needs, and also when you're eating vegan, a lot of it's very fibrous food. It can be you're going to be full all day long to get enough calories in when you're burning 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories a day. So from a pragmatic standpoint, I think it's very difficult to pull off a full vegan diet on an athlete.
So you're not
I am not. No, I am a very happy meat eater.
Michael, you're not a vegan, right?
I am not a vegan.
So for Michael in recovery, what would you tell him the best foods for right now would be?
Colorful fruits and vegetables, of course. You should really stack your diet with that. Fermented foods, probiotic foods, which are really good for the gut. The gut biome is where your immune system is located. So keeping those foods high in your diet, like kombucha is really good for your gut. Things like kimchi, like Korean style kimchi, the cabbage, sauerkraut as well, very, very good for your gut. Probiotic dairy products like Greek yogurt, which is very low in carbohydrates but very high in protein. And then kefir or kefir, which is a kind of like a more pourable probiotic rich dairy product. So it's very similar to yogurt. It's more liquid, but the probiotics are through the roof. That's a really good one.
I love kefir. I'm one of those people who actually loves goat milk kefir. So that's information, and we'll get back to it. Joel from promoter
So much.
To art, and we can openly talk about the fact that Joel has wrestled with and usually wins with a mental disorder, and his art has been a great help, which means that for those of us stuck at home, he may have some advice for us in terms of how to get rid of some of that energy and demons that we have while we're stuck in the house. Joel, so tell us first of all about the journey from promoter to artist and how it's helped you with your mental well-being.
Well, you know, I asked Chris about veganism, but I actually used to make beef jerky and sell it. So I was a beef jerky making fight promoter in Las Vegas. Who became a vegan artist. It's quite
the transition.
Quite the transition, and how I come to very gratefully be invited to these panels is because my family has been in the boxing business since I was a kid. And I always wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. And obviously the ultimate place to promote boxing is Vegas. And I was very grateful to apply for a license and get it. It was just after 9/11. Things were very strict. So I went to live in Vegas, which is not my favorite place to live.
I'm with you on that one.
And
it's the only place I hate.
Hate's a good word.
I just dislike it. It's just everything about it.
It's that we're seeing.
Sorry.
So Mauricio very kindly asked me to do some of the artwork for the save the date for the Ali Frazier 50th next year. So that's what I came up with.
Love that.
The powers that be seemed to like it, so it was really good.
It's a lot to get people to agree that they like something, particularly when it's intangible.
And there were so many people involved, and everybody loved it. So many personalities.
Do you think we'll actually be doing this on March 8th, 2021? Could be.
I'm really hoping so. I do. I really do. I really do. I agree that we're like a basin. When this thing lifts, there will be many changes that occur, but people will get back together.
And what's the first thing you'll do, Joe?
I will go and sit in a coffee shop and drink a cappuccino, Jill. That is what I've done since I was a kid, and that's really, I'm that kind of guy. I get every morning when I wake up, I look forward to my daily coffee. It sounds silly, but it gets me out the house. I do, as Jill said, as so many other people do, I suffer from bipolar disorder and depression. I've had to deal with it my whole life. And some days getting out of bed is tough. And my one thought that gets me really smiling, it's not even painting. It's just being able to get on the subway, go to some cozy coffee shop and have a coffee and then get your blood flowing. So that's what I look forward to the most.
Very brave of you. Very brave of you to address it openly.
Well, you know what? There's so many people that are now.
It's true.
It's such a terrible disease, mental disease, that it's really, if you've never suffered from it, and I believe everybody's suffers in a certain way from anxiety and depression. And specifically now, people are feeling very useless, I would say. A lot of people are feeling pretty useless because you just really, if you're a salesman, you're not selling. If you're a realtor, there's the bottom's falling out of the market. And they've done countless surveys on how art can help you with your mood and motivate you to have a better day. If I wake up with a bad thought process, or I'm not feeling great, Chris, just like you have to force yourself to get into the gym, man, and become a champion fighter. Some days I just really don't feel like painting, man. Like I really don't want to paint. The minute
I got that too, Joel.
the minute I put one dot of paint on the canvas, it takes me into a magical world that I can't even begin to explain. It's just like a fantasy world.
But it's so hard because when somebody has a mental disorder, someone like yourself who presents yourself so well, there are no visible scars.
No, nothing. There are no visible scars at all.
Nice.
Nothing. That's it, Joel. Wow, Joel. There's nothing to show that I would suffer at all. In fact, I was blessed with a good personality. That's why I became a fight promoter. And I hid it for so long. South Africa, I was brought up in South Africa, and South Africa got a very lion mentality. It's a very tough country. If you got a problem with somebody, you fight. You don't really chat. That's the kind of culture it is. So for me to actually come out and tell people, I was brought up with a tough boy attitude. My father was a promoter, and nobody really messed with me. Not because I was so strong, just because they thought that I had backstop. So I had to eventually tell people that I had a major mental breakdown at one stage. And by me telling them that I was mentally weak, I cannot even tell you how many people said, wow, man, I'm suffering from OCD. I can't touch people anymore. My marriage has gone to pieces. I don't know how to deal with money. Really, just everybody opens up the minute you're brave enough to tell people that you're weak.
I agree. They say
tell you that they're weak, and everybody shares in the same problems, really.
Secrets, right? You're only as weak as your secrets. And the minute you open up, other people, most people will respond to you in same. It's great. And you're going to show us something about the drawing in a minute, but I want to speak to Bob first because he's being too polite and cooperative here. Bob, how did you go from spin and gear music magazines into travel? How did that happen?
Well, age is part of it. I always say that what I'm doing now is not that different from, spin. It's all about storytelling. It's all about adventure. It's all about discovery. My whole life's work has been in the media, and it's been about narrative and storytelling. And I think it's about being honest and having a sense of humor in the work, which is often lacking, especially in the travel section. It's completely lacking. Most of it is very dishonest and connected to financial interests. We're not, we take ads, but we don't, write for people that take ads with us. And I don't know, I just think travel is an essential and primal instinct of the human being. It's what got us out of the caves. I say somewhat facilely that the first story ever told was a travel story because someone had to say, let's go here, not there. There's danger, there's food. Someone got us out of the caves. And ever since, we've been traveling and experiencing, and it's how we articulate the human experience by what we discover and the details we bring back from those expeditions. I remember being a kid and reading National Geographic in the late 60s and early 70s, up until about the early 70s. They were still discovering tribes and places on Earth that no one had ever seen, people that no one had ever contacted. Today, Google Earth can map every square inch of the planet. It does map every square inch. So we've lost some of that naivete and that thrill of discovering something brand new, but we're still discovering worlds. There are worlds under the sea. There are worlds in the atmosphere. There are worlds, as we now know, in our own body. I owned the science magazine Discover for a while. And I remember there was a piece we did on the amount of bacteria and viruses that live in our body. Different ones were equivalent to, I think, in the millions of different bacteria and viruses that live with us. So we don't know much about that world. You know, it's new. And I think that's part of the human experience. Just keep discovering until the day we go, you know? I see that's an old piece you got there, Jill. No one can read that, of course, but I was very smart in that interview. Everybody has to take that on faith.
I see a strong resemblance. Strong.
The photographs, yeah. Look at the old pictures of me. That's when I was a rock and roller.
That's what magazine does this reflect?
Well, Spin, of course, is in there, and just Spin in those photographs. And I was at a premiere of the other pictures for my father's documentary. And this is Wanderlust, yeah, which I'm doing now. Yeah, check it out, folks. Wanderlust is very different. It's very smart. It's got some of that spirit of the old National Geographic I was talking about. And it's got a sense of humor, which is unique. You know, the travel publications just don't have that. And there's the piece we did with Maurizio.
Yes, in Kiev.
I did. Yeah.
So you also must have.
I'm sorry. We also did a piece with Maurizio, didn't we? With the 10 travel questions.
Yes.
I don't know if Maurizio's still on the phone, but that was one of my favorite pieces.
But you did an interview there with Vitaly Klitschko.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Not me personally. That was Lucia, our European editor, who did that. She did brilliantly.
And Muscle and Fitness, you did our Vinny Paz.
Oh yeah, when I was writing, I do some writing for other publications, and I did some for Muscle and Fitness, and I did a profile of Vinny, which is one of my favorite profiles because he's such a character, and we got on so well, you know.
Well, I love your magazine for one of the things that you say. It is not your usual look at different. Here's one. Here it is. So
yeah, more recent, yeah.
You know more secrets. I mean, we've been to 166 countries. We have 57 conventions, and I'm sure you know the secrets about these places, and we will travel through nothing that you know. So, I mean, tell us.
No, the beauty is, of course, I don't know. I only know a little of all of that. And that's what's so great about finding things out. You know, I've been around the world twice and not been to more than half of it. It was ironic, but you know, I traveled a lot as a journalist, and two of my very favorite places I've visited were war zones. I covered the war in Bosnia, and I covered the war in Kosovo for my magazines. And I say they were favorites because that's where the human condition was laid most bare. That's where it was completely binary. It was utterly binary. If they like you, they don't like you. They trust you, don't trust you. They're hungry, they're not hungry. They want to drink, they don't want to drink. They'll leave you to die or they'll take care of you. It's utterly binary. It's utterly how you behave with them. And I learned quickly not to use a tape recorder when I interviewed people, but to simply just remember everything. I wrote down names because names are very hard in the Balkans to remember, to spell. And I wrote down places, again, very hard to spell. But everything else I just remembered because that way it was like this conversation. People were very open. They took me into their homes. But if I stuck a microphone in their face, they became annoyed local person being bothered by alien visiting press. Yeah. The other way, I became part of them. I was sleeping in their homes, you know, literally. I mean, they took me in. So those were great travel. They were actually great travel stories. And I always say the best travel writers are crime novelists and war reporters. And the reason is they are the most diligent with detail. They choose the most interesting detail. For a crime novelist, the location is absolutely one of the characters. And for a war reporter, they got to be aware of everything happening all the time. So they are therefore more observant. Those are the best travel writers.
And how long has Wanderlust been available now?
It seems like 3,000 years. I'm guessing that can't be possible. It's 2.5 years, 2.5 years. It's 7 days a week, as you can imagine.
How is this affecting you now that nobody can really travel? I mean, we're in stage 4 in the States.
Yeah, it's a great question. And one we deal with, like we dealt with today in an editorial conference. On the one hand, people are more likely and willing and interested in traveling via their computers and their screens. That they want to read about places. They want to read about, particularly they want to read about the obscure and the quirky. You don't think anybody really needs to read about 10 best restaurants in Paris because no one can go, no one can relate to that, and it's not new. But we like to do some more esoteric things right now during this period. We've done and we're stopping a bunch of coronavirus dispatches because my staff is all over the world, that we don't have an office, everybody's remote. We're everywhere from Oxford, Mississippi to Marseille to Dubai. I got each writer, each editor rather, and contributing writer, some of them, to write about where they were in that moment, a snapshot. So one of my editors wrote about being in Hoboken, New Jersey, the days that everything started to collapse. And my Dubai writer wrote about being in Dubai, which is a very different experience. And that was it. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to concentrate too much on coronavirus. I didn't want to make it too much about the virus. We weren't going to beat any news organization to news. And everybody kind of knows the state of travel. Now we're going to start writing about it re-emerging. The airlines beginning to fly again, the places are beginning to open up. And, again, everything that guides us is what is the human reference? How are we referring to humanity? How are we referring to that human experience? When are you learning about people? Our in-house mantra is people first, building second. Very unusual for a travel site. We're much more concerned with people. And that's it. It's just good writing that I think makes a difference to people. I think if it's well written, becomes absorbing. Obviously, we're not giving travel tips right now, where to go. But I think that'll return. Life is fluid, and media has to be fluid with it.
Thank you, Bob. Michael,
Hello.
I elected you. So
Michael needs more keyboards.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing kind of a Rick Wakeman thing right now, so that's okay.
Oh, you're like the Rick Wakeman of modern times.
There you go.
So we met when I was with running the film department for Anatomical Crazy Travelogue.
That's right.
We took scientific information and images and CAT scans and turned them into television shows and art exhibits. And we did a book that was an Oprah choice called Conception to Birth, A Life Unfolds. And they said, here, Michael, do an album about it. So he had to do a song each for gestation, for the baby goes through the fallopian tube, for birth. He pulled it off. It was one of the most magnificent albums to this day that I've ever heard. And how he did it, I'm still not sure. But,
well, that was a really interesting problem because I've done, like you said, I've done a lot of television and I've done a lot of film and I've done a lot of themes. And a lot of the music that I write is already programmatic. So when you, and if you can find the book, it is absolutely breathtaking. The images are absolutely breathtaking. So you're already inspired by how it looks, but from a musical standpoint, you didn't want to get into kind of the medical part of it because I don't know anything about it. I don't know that. So what it became about was sort of the wonder of the whole experience. And because I've been a father twice and all of that, it was how can I create something that anybody, whether you have children or not, you're a woman or not, can enter this conversation and go on a journey. And it was that was really cool. But I think that's kind of the building blocks of all the music that I've done. I just released my 33rd solo album. Wow. And and I just finished my 872nd TV show. And I think one of the things that's always important is to try to create a clear narrative arc. I love what Bob was saying about narratives. I think it's very true with music. I think you've got to create an arc which is clear. And I think that has to do with composition. And I think that has to do with sounds. I mean, my new album is all about sound. But I think at the end of the day, what you've got to leave people with is you give them an entry point and they get to go on their own adventure. It's like the minute the music leaves my hands, it's their music. So however they use it, wherever they go with it, it's their experience.
Mhm.
And I think, the new album is called Sacred Spaces. I've been working on it for a very long time. It started as a classical piece, and now it's an electronic music thing, and I'm incredibly proud of it. But I think for me, it's the kind of the coming together of 30 years of working in television, 30 years of working in advertising, because I've done a couple of thousand commercials, and it's coming together and saying, what is a spiritual experience? And I think, I'm a fallen Catholic, sorry. And so I think from a religious standpoint, because everyone hears the word sacred and they think it's a religious album. It's not. It's really about trying to find something that touches your spirit. So anything that touches your spirit is spiritual. And so I think the music is very emotional. It's got a very sort of emotional center. And so if people relate to the music and it takes them someplace, that's great. But at the end of the day, all of my music is about gratitude, because I'm 54 years old. I've had an incredible career already, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to get my music out there and that people appreciate it.
And I've been to one of your concerts where you actually combine dance, meditation, and music, where you played and other people participated in any manner which they wanted, including meditation. It's quite a wonderful experience. I'd never experienced it before. And what are you?
It's because one of the things that I think is happening right now with the COVID is people are looking for music to be an oasis. And I love this idea that that music can create a context of wellness. Like, I hate when people start talking about sort of the medicinal uses of music, because that's just a lie. But you can create a context of wellness that says, will music help you fall asleep if you wanted to? Will music help you relax and breathe and become part of your daily practice if you want it to? So it becomes a building block of your wellness if you decided to. Like, Jill knows I've walked, 25 or 30,000 miles around New York City. I'm a crazy walker. I've walked 3 New York City marathons, and the music that I'm always listening to is always about trying to keep myself centered and breathing. So like in the morning, I wake up and I breathe for 2 minutes. And then before I go to sleep at night, I'm breathing, and it just helps me get centered. But if you have music that's going to help you kind of create a context around it and create an enhanced sort of experience for you, that's great. And I think for a lot of my music, people use that for relaxation, meditation, their daily practice, to relax on their way to work, like if they're on the subway. And that's wonderful.
Michael, question.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Spotify now.
Yeah.
What's your top 10? I want to make your playlist.
You want to make my playlist?
Yeah. Do you have a playlist in Spotify?
You're gonna do it, you mean off the top of my head? Well, I mean, I have a song on Spotify that has 37 million streams.
Wow.
That I've loved you for 1,000 lifetimes, which people love.
I have loved you for
1,000
37 million.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot. So a lot of people like that song. Jill, I can actually play you 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So my music is always about composition, but I always want to take someone on a journey. I love the idea of what Bob was talking about taking people on a journey and having, and relating to it from the people, and maybe people first, not buildings. I love that. But I think it's great to be an artist and to have people go on journeys. I love the idea that I can create a piece of music and know nothing about it, and 1,000 people could hear it and they'll tell me all the things they found in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful.
All of you are artists in the sense, to me, an artist is someone who takes a blank page and creates something. And it doesn't matter if it's food, or if it's writing, or if it's art, or if it's music. It's that ability to take nothing and create something from it. But I have to tell you Mauricio's favorite kind of music. Tell Michael what your favorite music is.
Pink Floyd.
Perfect.
Well, I wouldn't guess that.
I'm a prog rocker from way back, guys. You know, Pink Floyd, yes. Genesis, I'm right there.
Soft Machine.
Soft Machine, good, very good.
How about, I'd like to hear, what do you think about Alan Parsons?
I love Alan Parsons. I actually saw him last year live, and it blew me away. Unbelievable.
I didn't know he was alive last year.
He played a live show last year, and it absolutely blew me away. The band was fantastic. It sounded fantastic. It was great.
That is great. The Alan Parsons Project. That was great stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
Did you know that Alan Parsons was the engineer for The Dark Side of the Moon?
That's right. Yes, he was.
For Pink Floyd.
That's right. He went into that clock shop and mic'd all those clocks, and they got all that stuff right. And oy vey.
Crazy. So Joel, did you want to show us something? Something that you think, like an exercise or something we could do to...
Sure. Well, I'll just basically, the most important thing is not everybody's sitting with art supplies at their homes.
Remember.
So if you haven't got paint and if you haven't got a canvas, take a paper plate and your kids' crayons or pencils or Sharpies or whatever you can find, and paint something. Maybe I should give you an idea. Just maybe paint a heart. As with Michael, I'm very into gratitude and love at the moment. So maybe paint a heart and send it to somebody that you love. You know, it can be as simple as a black Sharpie, just a heart, or it can be a 12-hour piece of work. I'll show you this piece. It's called One Love. And I don't know if you can see, I've actually got boxing gloves on the canvas. I don't know if you can see it.
Cool.
But I've been working on this piece for 4 years. Every couple of months, I just change it. And there are not many pieces that I find that are very close to my heart, but this piece is. This piece is one of the few pieces that I wouldn't sell. It symbolizes pretty much my whole life. And you can't really see it. You can't. It looks quite dark, but it's not. It's magnificent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple, I'm a very free painter. I tattooed the words "freest man in the world" down my arm. I don't drink anymore, but in those days I'd had about 20 tequilas.
Makes you pretty free.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was just on my shoulder. It was down my entire arm.
Yeah.
And I had to sign many legal disclaimers before they did this. So my style of art is free. I'm going to do something very simple and very basic for you to hopefully bring out your creative side. But remember that if you come up with an idea to paint something today or tomorrow, or you're going to have to start getting creative, whether you make some music on an app or something like that, or paint. There's only so long you can sit in your home you can go, this is the ceiling of my studio.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
I painted the ceiling of my studio like the sky. So look, I normally, that's a blank canvas. Okay. That's going to be my next painting. I have no idea what it's going to be yet, but this will be the start of it. And Jill, maybe I'll send you the final product when it's done and you can send it to everybody. But this is how I'm going to start the painting. And And I absolutely have no idea. In fact, this might be the whole painting. I have no idea. That's the most beautiful thing about art. But I've got a thing of green paint. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a bit of green, a thicker green paint. I'll take a bit of yellow. Put a big blob of yellow on. And
That was fun.
it is so much fun. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
even
fun.
tell you. Look, you can't do this at home because your landlord will definitely. And I'll finish it off with some food.
Joel, you know this is the beginning of a YouTube show. You know that, right?
Well, Mark, I got to tell you something. I should have a big YouTube channel. Maybe I could do something with you guys. I should have 1 million followers. I can't get past the 1,000 mark. But I want to show you this painting. Look at this.
It's great.
And
Yeah.
I'm really mean this. I love my own art. I've always been proud. That came out of me. That means it's the best I can do. And it's so precious because it came from me. If 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡𝗗 had done that, that's a $130 million painting.
That's what
Well,
people
Pollock did it.
have, the only voice that's yours, whether it comes out in art or music or whatever. But I know you are very connected to the Smile charity. And
Yes, Operation Smile.
you sold a lot of paintings and for good money.
Yeah. Look, Joel, when I, as I said, I suffer from a lot of depression and bipolar. And when I started painting, I committed to giving a lot back to charity. And it was my major motivation. I had this manic episode in 2010 that I was going to become one of the world's greatest artists. I had never painted before. People thought I was crazy. A lot of people thought I was going to commit suicide because I went from never painting to painting. It was a really manic episode, but I have donated over $250,000 to different charities since I started painting, and it's my main motivation still to paint, is to give back to the world, pretty much.
We're so grateful that you do. You are an inspiration. I read a recommended documentary to you about Mauro Ronaldo on Showtime. Watch that.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Chris, what are your happy foods? I mean, we're in the house, it's dark, it's like we're ready to bust out. Give us some happy foods.
So I'm not a dessert guy, actually. I don't have a sweet tooth. Everyone always asks me about desserts and whatnot, but I like really flavorful and savory foods. Like I love hamburgers, like a good hamburger made well, just made the right way, juicy, cheesy, crunchy, the flavors, the textures, like Joel's talking about his art. A lot of times with my cooking, I'll look in my fridge and see what kind of ingredients I have, especially now they're in quarantine, because you never know what you're going to have available to you, what you have in the house. You don't want to go out. I love looking in my fridge and being like, all right, I have this, I have that, I have that. I'm going to try and make something. I'm going to try and make something beautiful. I'm going to try and make something that tastes great. I'm going to make something that feels great. Because that's the thing about food. It's every sense. You look at it, you smell it, you taste it, you feel it. So for me, I try and make foods that I enjoy in every way. So that's why I make the food look the way it looks. That I trust me. There's no smell-o-vision, but my Instagram page, everything smells good too. But you asked earlier if I'm a vegan or whatnot. I said I'm a very proud meat eater. My mother's from Argentina, so barbecue and steak is everything. So for me, my comfort food is steak, is red meat. I love a good, hearty, juicy piece of red meat.
That just makes me more hungry.
Yeah.
my book would make you very hungry. There's some, and my Instagram page as well. There's a lot of food.
I'm going to give you a little food tip I picked up while I'm cooking every meal, of course. So I was making simple spaghetti with oil and garlic, which is just awesome if you do it right. And the trick to it is a little of the pasta water. Goes in there, about half a cup pasta water goes in the sauce. But I didn't have parsley, so I used bok choy. Bok choy has become my new secret ingredient. I put it in clam sauce too. You take the
Bok
leaves,
choy is delicious.
yeah, and the leaves, because the actual stem's a little too thick to
Yeah, the leaves wilt up nicely.
soften in the time it takes to make that particular sauce. Put just a little couple of slivers of the stem in there because they add a bit of texture. But the leaves are awesome.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
my new secret ingredient.
And if you
Secret
do,
now, I shared it.
oh, it's not a secret anymore. But
No.
bok choy, if you grate a little fresh ginger root on there while you're cooking with a little bit of olive oil, it is absolutely delicious. It'll crisp up around with the olive oil on the bok choy. It just wilts down a little bit. And I mean, bok choy is actually one of my favorite vegetables to eat.
I'm now getting hungry.
Me too.
Yeah, no, we're all getting hungry. I haven't eaten yet.
Hey, Bob, so where are we going when everything gets lifted? Where would you say, where would be the great places to go now?
Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Just out of the house?
Down the street.
First off, down the street, exactly right, Chris. I think, well, a lot of studies have been done on this, what's going to happen next with travel. And the general consensus is, in the beginning at least, people are going to want to stay within their own country. And a lot of that percentage want to just drive somewhere. You know, there's going to be a tremendous distrust of airlines. I distrust them right now. Well, plus, I don't really want to fly on a plane with a face mask. You know, I don't want to sit there for hours with a face mask on. So I'd much rather go somewhere by car too, or train even. But I think when all this empties, it kind of depends when the flights become regular enough again that you can go to a lot of different places. All the airlines are talking about cutting routes, but they'll bring them back. Then I think you go to where you want to go. For me, it'd be Tuscany. I want to go back to Tuscany.
Good choice.
I actually have a great 2-year long longing to go to Ukraine, partly since we first did that article. And I have friends who are involved with Ukraine. That sounds interesting to me. I think majority of people are going to travel first within America, and then they're going to go to Europe. You know.
So Bob, you don't want to go to Vegas?
Huh?
You
No, I don't
wanna
want to go to Vegas. I'll tell you a funny story. So I once did an article for a magazine, and I forget the name of the magazine, but they have this thing it's called Spin the Globe.
What about Mexico City?
Oh, I'd love to go to Mexico City, absolutely. I've been to Mexico for years. But anyway, so I did this article, and I agreed to the article, and they say, we'll tell you just before you go where you're going to go. The whole world to pick from, the whole world, right? I could have gone anywhere in the world. They picked Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. The only place in the world I don't like. I mean, I like everywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
But I wrote a piece about how, I understood its appeal. And in the end, I concluded, it's like Walmart. You know, people love it. There are no windows. It's open 24 hours. It's got everything you want.
And sometimes you got to go there.
It's not good for depression.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Mauricio, do you have any questions for anyone?
No, I'm just thrilled. Michael, you have Michael Whelan Music. That's your Instagram, right?
Michael Whelan Music is my Instagram. It's true. It's also my Facebook.
Okay, and Chris, you need more food. I see only boxing in your pictures.
So I have another Instagram page for my book. So there's an Instagram page, The Fighter's Kitchen, and that's just food.
That's The Fighter's Kitchen, okay?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that book. I ordered it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm thrilled with it because,
It looks so good.
yeah, it's sensational.
I'm speaking to my publisher now about the next couple book ideas as well. So
Nice.
I have good news for Joel. You have more than 1,000 followers now.
Thanks, Mauricio. Hi, Mauricio. Thank you.
And Mr. Buccione, do you have a Instagram or Twitter or something?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not on social media.
look at you.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't like it.
But
The magazine is, Wanderlust is on, but I'm not.
you know, social media, it's like you become addicted.
Yeah.
And then you're a prisoner of it. And then you realize so many nasty people put their anger into social media.
Yeah.
True.
If you learn how to handle that, then it's very fun. But if you get stuck and believe the few comments from haters, then it's miserable.
I personally I thought a lot about it, and it probably would help me career-wise in some ways to have more of a presence. But I use other ways to have that presence, using what I write for the site or what I write outside the site. But I just don't have the interest in spending the time to build it. I would only do that for business reasons, which I do through Wonderlust. You know, for that business. Me, I'm not a business. And I just, I'm kind of a bit private anyway. So I don't really want to tell people what I'm doing, and I don't really care what they're doing, unless I like them, in which case I care and I find out directly.
And then you can call them.
Yeah, but I'd like to get all your guys' information, because I'd like to check in your sites and things. I find it interesting to go to other places. I just have no desire to populate one myself.
Mhm.
But you know,
I still
give the word. Your interview was unbelievable. The one in Kiev of the convention was sensational.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no. That's I love doing that, and we put that out on our social media channels. But
That was a great piece.
thank you very much. I love the piece I did with you, the interview I did with you.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. You were great. You were absolutely brilliant.
So, Michael.
Yeah.
Anyone else has something to add? I'd love to know if Michael, could you play us out?
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll play a little bit of something.
We have our callers. We're going to say, stay safe, stay home, stay cool. And now Michael can play us out. So thank
Pleasure. Thank you.
you, Mystic. You at home. Waiting for you. Just hang on a little bit more.
And you know what we learn in this world of video conferences, when you're far away, you can still hug each other. So reach out to the camera and let's give us a big hug.
Hey.
Come on, Michael, near, come on.
Great.
Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us in WBC Talks. And I'm so happy and proud to have been part of this. You are all very, very special.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. This is
For
great.
you. Ollie, I hope we get together sometime.
Yes,
Please,
sure.
let's circulate our info.
See you at your
Chris is
studio.
cooking.
I'll bring the tequila.
Yes, bring tequila, anybody.
Joy.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.